There was a version of last Tuesday that never happened. In that version, the car broke down on the way to something important. The message you sent was misread. The thing you'd been quietly looking forward to collapsed in a specific, humiliating way that you had already, in some private corner of your mind, rehearsed. You'd been carrying that version around for days. The real Tuesday was fine, unremarkable. You drove somewhere. It worked out. Nothing collapsed. And yet some part of you spent the whole week preparing for the other one. Not out of fear exactly. It didn't feel like fear from the inside. It felt like being smart, like doing the responsible thing. Running the simulation early so that if it went wrong, you wouldn't be caught off guard. You'd already absorbed the impact in advance. This is what most people call worrying. But worrying is the wrong word. It's too small, too passive. What's actually happening is something more deliberate, more architectural. What's happening is that your brain has decided, quietly, efficiently, without asking your permission, that the safest place to live is slightly ahead of the worst possible version of events. The brain is a prediction machine before it is anything else. Not a feeling machine, not a reasoning machine, a prediction machine. Its primary function, the thing it is doing every moment without pause, is modeling what comes next and flagging anything that deviates from that model as a signal requiring attention. This is why sudden loud sounds make you flinch before you've processed them. Why a face that looks slightly wrong makes you uneasy before you can name what's off. The brain doesn't wait for conscious analysis. It runs the model first and updates you later. Now add experience to that machine. If the thing you were looking forward to was, reliably, the thing that preceded disappointment, if the good news often came with conditions, if the calm often preceded something breaking, the brain doesn't conclude that you had a rough period. It concludes that this is the pattern. That calm is a precondition. That anticipation is a signal to start preparing. And so it begins preparing. Not in the dramatic way that shows up in clinical literature. Not panic. Something quieter and more habitual. A background process. A constant low-grade modeling of the ways things could go wrong, running parallel to your actual life, so that whatever happens, you are never entirely surprised. The medical term for the chronic version of this is anticipatory anxiety. But that framing treats it as a disorder, a malfunction. It isn't. It's an optimization, a highly specific solution to a genuine problem the nervous system once had. How to survive in an environment where good things were unreliable and bad things arrived without warning. The brain found an answer. Prepare early. Feel the loss before it happens. That way, when it comes, it's already been processed. The shock is smaller. You stay functional. The problem, the only problem, is that the optimization keeps running when the environment no longer requires it. Watch what it actually looks like inside a day. The promotion comes through, and within 24 hours, you're already imagining the ways it could expose you, not because you don't deserve it. Because deserving it means depending on it, and depending on something means being vulnerable to losing it. The relationship is good, genuinely, steadily good, and you find yourself, in quiet moments, cataloging its possible failure points, not to be morbid, because something in you believes that the person who sees the ending coming will hurt less when it arrives. That pre-grieving is a form of protection. Or the simpler version, something small is going well, and you feel not happy exactly, but uneasy. Like you're standing on something that hasn't told you yet whether it's solid. That unease is the anticipatory process doing its job, flagging the good thing as a variable, reminding you not to bet everything on it. And this is where it becomes its own kind of loss. Because the person who is always preparing for the worst is never entirely in the present moment. They're in the next one, the difficult one, the one where this all turns out to have been too good to last. They are present everywhere, except here. Here is the part that doesn't get said often enough. Preparing for the worst is not pessimism. Pessimists believe things will go badly and feel in some way confirmed when they do. The person who always prepares for the worst often doesn't believe things will go badly. They just can't afford to be wrong if they do. There's a difference between expecting disaster and insuring against it. What most chronic worriers are doing is insurance, emotional insurance. They are paying a premium, constant low-grade vigilance, the inability to fully inhabit good moments, a persistent sense of something unresolved, in exchange for a policy that promises, if it goes wrong, you will have seen it coming. The policy almost never pays out the way they expect. When things go wrong, they still hurt. Pre-grieving doesn't actually make the grief smaller. It just means you spent more total time in grief, the anticipatory version and the real version, than someone who simply let themselves be surprised. But the nervous system doesn't update this model easily. It was built from evidence, and it trusts its evidence. Every time the preparation seemed to work, the lesson got reinforced. Every near miss became proof. And so the insurance keeps getting renewed. The philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote that all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. He meant something broader than worry. But there's something true in it here. The person who cannot stop preparing for the worst often cannot be still, not because they're busy, but because stillness requires trusting that the present moment is enough, that nothing urgent is being missed, that the simulation can be paused, and that trust, in the safety of the present, in the reliability of the ground beneath the good thing, is precisely what the nervous system never quite learned. Not through any failure of will, through experience, through the accumulated evidence of life in which stillness, occasionally, was the thing that preceded everything falling apart. What changes? Slowly, rarely, only through the accumulation of disconfirming evidence, is not the tendency to prepare. It's the discovery, made over time and never quite complete, that the present moment sometimes holds, that the car doesn't break down, that the message lands the way it was meant, that the Tuesday that actually happened was the one worth being in. Not because things are safe, but because the preparation for once wasn't needed.